Following the introductory press conference of the new leadership for your Washington Mystics, we are now joined by Tyler Byram, who is a man who knows, I dare say, almost everything about the Washington Mystics. You do a great job covering this team. But now we had to hear the new leadership talk. I want your first impressions on what you heard, Tyler.
Yeah, the biggest first impression that I had with this new leadership group, if you will, is how a lot of the things that I think organizationally people knew about the Mystics, the community aspect, how things were in place, is not going to change too much. That sense of community, the culture that was established, a lot of the players that really are exactly how Jamila and Sydney talked about what they are looking for in a Washington Mystic, I think things are going to be very similar. Okay. Now, that's to say there's not going to be alterations down the line. There's not going to be a zipper instead of a button as we kind of process through this all together. But I think the real progress that we're going to see is not this season or next season. It's going to be 10 years down the line, where the team just kind of lays the foundation of what they're trying to build, and we see that happen over the next several years.
Tyler, what stood out to you most about the messaging that this new leadership group has really portrayed today at this press conference?
Well, I just love how there's the breakdown between the three of them, and I'll extend it to Michael Winger as well, with how he talked about the holistic environment that he is trying to set up for Jamila, Sydney, and the players, and all the things that he can do to make sure that they are in best position for that success. And then there's Jamila and how she's talking about how she wants to make sure Sydney has all those players that identify with the values and the things that they want to focus on, not just this year but beyond. And then Sydney, you saw the palpable energy that he had. He just wants to go out there and he wants to win games. He wants to be with these players. He wants to be in the trenches. He wants to have them be better. So I just think each of them having a role within that process that they outline for themselves is very clear, very concise, and no one trying to, I don't want to say step on each other's toes, but try and go out of bounds of what their role is going to be in the next coming years.
Tyler, one of the things that I noticed, and just my own perspective on it, was the thoughtfulness in each of their responses to what their responsibilities would be, especially the stewardship part that Jamila was mentioning. How do you think that's going to convey over to players? Especially, we know that certain things are going to happen with CBAs down the road, et cetera. But for a player to want to come play for you, how important is it for the thoughtfulness of an organization to be conveyed to them like that?
Well, they are just very clear and very concise in what they want. And when you're a player and there's someone that is talking to you directly saying, this is what I want from you, can you be this? For them, a lot of times it's a simple yes or no, or sometimes I have to sit there and think about it. And honestly, sitting there and thinking about it sometimes tells you all you need to know about that person, what they are. So I see it as something that's going to be dividends for the team down the line, having that directness of what they want. And if you don't fit what this leadership group has identified with the team, they're going to move on and have other options. So having that clearness, I think while it may sound rude to some people, being that direct is exactly what people in this type of industry seek for when they're looking for a leader.
I want to ask you about the 90-10 initiative, because that was something that everyone was really pushing out. How important is it that players can see what this leadership is all about, that this is a home? It's not just about the play on the court.
Well, and I think that just the 90-10 extends not to, I immediately thought of the WNBA is one of the few leagues in the world, let's just say the only league in the United States where you have players playing in other leagues to help support them financially and support their careers. And showing that, I mean, Unrivaled is another league that's not the WNBA. Sydney Johnson was not afraid to talk about Unrivaled, and he wanted us to be as storytellers conveying those stories. So they want to support players in all their endeavors that they have, whether it's being off-the-court initiatives that we've seen over the past several years with Ariel Atkins and Brittany Sykes, whether it's players going overseas and having other pursuits. Think about Jade Melbourne and what she's doing and playing in Australia. All these other players that have other aspects of their lives. I just think it's very unique and a very fresh take, especially with how we've seen things change over the years of prioritizing WNBA play specifically. Now it's expanded beyond that.
This is going to be an exciting season. I'm looking forward to it. A new era with a new GM and a new head coach for your Washington Mystics. Tyler Byram, we appreciate you taking time to hang out with us, friend.
Oh, thank you. I always appreciate it, Wes.
My man.